In today's podcast, you'll learn vocabulary, expressions, and idioms on the topic of astronomy. We have no hesitation in saying that this episode will be out of this world. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hi, I'm Reza.
And my name's Craig.
And with nearly 60 years of teaching between us, we'll help you improve your English and take it to the next level. Well, my friend, how are you?
I'm over the moon, Reza. I'm over the moon to be podcasting with you again this week. How are you doing?
I'm equally ecstatic like you. I can't wait to record our third episode of the day. We always get together and record 3 episodes in one day. So we've already recorded 2 and we are on a high.
We're on a high, not up to the moon, not that high, but we are definitely on a high. It's either a caffeine rush or a sugar rush after that coffee. First this week, we have a voice message from a friend of the show, Diana from Ecuador.
Hi, Reza and Craig. It's Diana again from Ecuador, South America. Well, I sent you a short message a few months ago, and in your feedback, you mentioned I should slow down a bit when speaking, which was a great advice, by the way. I've been working on that, and it's really helped me improve a lot my spoken English. Thank you so much. At the time, I also mentioned I was about to take the Cambridge exam. Well, I didn't quite make it, but I did get a solid B2 at the end. Well, at first, I was a little bit disappointed, but honestly, I've learned that sometimes a setback is just part of moving forward, you know? On the top of that, I truly consider the whole process was really priceless, and I'm proud of the progress I've made. Thank you so much for your amazing work on the podcast. And moving on, I wanted to suggest an idea for a future episode. And this one is astronomy. I think it could be so interesting and engaging to explore new vocabulary related to space, stars, planets, and maybe even some scientific expressions. And I think a topic like that could really expand our language skills in a fun and different way. Thanks again for all the amazing work you do. Keep it up. Bye bye.
Thanks so much for your message, Diana. And your pronunciation was fantastic and your message was crystal clear. I just noticed one tiny little mistake, but it didn't affect the meaning at all. I could understand you. You said a great advice, but the word advice is uncountable in English, although it's countable in Spanish. So you can say thank you for great advice. Or if you want to count it, you can say thank you for a great piece of advice. But you cannot say a plus advice because it's an uncountable word. But a tiny little mistake. Don't worry much about it. And congratulations on getting a B2 level, even though it was a C1 exam. The exact same thing has happened to me when I studied the local language here, Valencia. It took me three attempts to finally pass the C1. Every time I got a high B2 classification, but not quite the C1 until eventually, third time lucky. So I know exactly how you feel. You'll get there in the end.
I agree 100% with Reza about your pronunciation, Diana. Wonderful pronunciation. As always, you've sent us messages before. And you took the C1 exam. As Reza said, you got a solid B2. It might be an idea to review the marks that you got and focus on the areas that were a little bit low that you need to work on to bring up. Maybe it was the reading section. Maybe you need to work on reading a little bit faster. Maybe it was the listening section. You need to practice that. So focus on the areas that were a little bit weaker and try and bring those up so that next time you'll get it. And I really love your attitude. A setback is part of going forward. As Reza said, it's a process. So don't give up. Keep on studying. You will get there in the end.
Yeah, the only way you learn is from mistakes. There's no other way to learn, if you ask me.
Yep, I'm sure Eric Clapton didn't pick up his guitar and play fantastically from the very first day. So, yeah, practice makes perfect. So, once again this week, Reza and Craig are going to talk about something that we know very little about, and that's astronomy. Now, we have spoken about astrology, which is a different area, and the 12 signs of the zodiac. So if you're interested in that, which isn't really a science like astronomy is, but it was a very interesting topic to focus on and speak about, go to inglespodcast.com/540. That's the episode we did on astrology. But what is astronomy, Reza?
Well, a good definition of astronomy might be this. It's the scientific study of celestial bodies, such as stars, planets, comets, and galaxies, and the universe as a whole.
Have you ever been interested in astronomy as a topic?
I am. I'm not extremely interested, but I am interested. I think everyone should want to know what's out there beyond our atmosphere. We're not living in a vacuum. There are other things out there, and we should want to know what's out there. So I'm not a huge fan, but yeah, I am interested. What about you?
I used to be when I was younger. I have a very good friend, Graham, and we grew up together. He's like my brother. So when we were very young, he had a telescope. I bought a pair of binoculars. You can look at the moon, you can look at stars with binoculars as well. We had books on astronomy and we spoke about it a lot, but I was maybe 14, 15 years old, and in my adult life, I haven't really had that much of an interest. But it was interesting putting this episode together and doing some research on some vocabulary. What's the first word we have today?
Well, another way of basically saying the same as astronomy, although in a more informal, less academic setting, is stargazing, because that's what you have to do if you want to be successful in astronomy. You have to gaze. Gaze, to gaze, is to look at something for a long time in a very studied, very focused way. You have to gaze at the stars. So an informal way of saying astronomy is stargazing. It means looking at space to study the stars and other objects.
Another popular word in astronomy is supernova. It's one word, supernova. And it's a powerful and luminous stellar explosion. The word stellar comes from stars, the stars in the sky, a stellar explosion, and luminous from light. Luminous stellar explosion. That's a supernova.
An expression which probably most listeners have heard is black hole, because it's a very, very exciting concept. It's a region in space where the gravitational pull is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. So that's why we call it a black hole. There isn't even light coming from it. So it exists, it's there, but you can't really see it. But it's there. That is a black hole.
And you can use black hole as an idiom, can't you? You can speak about, for example, online subscriptions as being a bit of a black hole. You sign up for Netflix, HBO. I sign up for Amazon Prime and YouTube Premium. Before you know it, all your money's gone. You've spent your salary. So subscriptions can be a bit of a black hole. Social media can be a black hole sometimes. You get lost in it. So you can use black hole in an idiomatic way. In fact, I've heard from some listeners that Reza's inbox, his email inbox, is a bit of a black hole. That's not me saying that, but because you haven't replied, they're thinking, well, these emails are disappearing somewhere.
Some of them go to my spam box, and others, I admit, I take my time to reply, but I will try to reply to everybody eventually.
Another word that's useful is nebula. Nebula. The word nebula actually is Latin. It's a Latin word. It means cloud. So what a nebula is in astronomy is a cloud of gas and dust in space often in a region where new stars are born, because stars come from somewhere. Where do they come from? They are born inside nebulae, which is the plural of nebula. Difficult to say, nebula.
An asteroid belt is not an item of clothing. A normal belt is something you put around your waist, around the middle of your body, to keep your trousers up. That's not very useful for astronomy. A belt, then, if you can think of that object which keeps your trousers up, it's a long, narrow area. So an asteroid belt is a region, a long, narrow area between Mars and Jupiter, where the majority of the solar system's asteroids are found. So asteroids are those big, well, some bigger, some smaller rocks floating around. So there's an area which looks like a belt full of asteroids, and that's the asteroid belt.
Now, don't confuse asteroids with hemorrhoids. Both
No, particularly if you go to the chemist.
both might be found in close proximity to a black hole,
Oh, very good.
and also found near Uranus. Notice I didn't pronounce it Uranus. Uranus is the correct pronunciation.
But some people do pronounce it Uranus, but they're wrong.
That's right. Yeah. So it's the asteroids that are found near Uranus, not hemorrhoids.
So hemorrhoids, Uranus, asteroids, Uranus. Is that it?
That's something like that.
Uranus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, here's a joke for you. Why did the astronaut break up with his girlfriend?
Oh, I don't know. Why did he?
He needed some space.
Oh, God. Very good.
Did you see that Katy Perry and some other female, let's not call them astronauts, they flew up into space in Jeff Bezos's rocket?
Yeah.
You heard about that?
Yes, and they saw amazing things and discovered absolutely nothing of any value for science. Yes.
Yes.
I did see that.
To promote her new album, I think.
But hey, they had a great time.
What's dark matter, Reza, and does it really matter?
It certainly does matter. So the word matter can be a verb. If something matters, that means it's important. But in the collocation dark matter, the word matter is a noun. And dark is the adjective describing that noun. So dark matter is a form of matter, a form of substance. Matter is substance that does not emit or interact with electromagnetic radiation like ordinary matter. Yet, it makes up most of the universe's mass. So that's crazy. On Earth, there is no dark matter that we know of, but in fact, most of the universe is made up of dark matter. You just won't find any here.
So dark matter matters.
It certainly matters.
Another thing that's dark, the opposite of light, is energy. And dark energy is very interesting. It's a mysterious force that is pushing or driving the expansion of the universe. Our universe is expanding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we speak. But dark energy is kind of causing this. It's forcing the expansion of the universe, and it remains one of the biggest mysteries in modern physics. People don't really understand it. That's dark energy.
The next expression may not be familiar to many of you. In fact, I admit I didn't know about it till I did my internet research. Hubble constant. That is a measure of the rate, the speed, at which the universe is actually expanding. So how quickly is it expanding? It's the Hubble constant. That is the rate of the expansion of the universe. I presume it's named after a scientist called Hubble. Is that right?
Yeah, like the telescope. There's a Hubble telescope, isn't there? Something I find quite interesting is a solar flare. Solar from the sun, and what happens around the edge of the sun, the edge of the sun, the outside of the sun is called the corona. And sometimes you get bursts of energy, a sudden eruption of energy from the sun. And this pulse of energy that's called a solar flare, if it's big enough, it could affect things on Earth, like the electricity grid or the internet connection. So it's really interesting that if it was a really big solar flare, it could affect us down here on Earth. I'm not suggesting that's what happened here in Spain recently and in Portugal and parts of France where we had no electricity or no internet for nearly a day. But it could be. It could have been a huge solar flare, that pulse, that eruption of energy from the sun.
Yes, we're recording this on the 30th of April, 2025. And it was 2 days ago that there was an outage, a blackout, no electricity virtually at all in the whole of Spain for some parts for about 12 or 14 hours. Who knows? Maybe it was the result of some astronomical phenomenon. We don't quite know.
Not yet. The space-time continuum is something you might hear if you're reading about astronomy. The space-time continuum. What's that? Well, it's a 4-dimensional continuum in which all objects are located, including time and 3 dimensions of space. Now, I have no idea what I've just said. That's really confusing to me. Reza, did you understand that?
Yes, so the 4 dimensions, so you've got height, length, breadth, yeah? That defines everything except when did it happen. So the fourth one is time. So on Earth, and I think most of the universe, apart from possibly in black holes, we're used to dealing with the space-time continuum. We got the 3 measurements plus time, and everything has to be measured within that. If it doesn't happen within that, then it's not in the space-time continuum. You could argue perhaps that dreams are outside the space-time continuum because you're walking along in my dreams, you're James Bond in the casino in Monte Carlo, being incredibly lucky with the ladies and a casino. But it's not really happening, isn't it? Is it in any time? In my mind, it's happening, and it might last for years, but it turns out it was just a few seconds of dreams within an abstract space and it didn't physically happen. Perhaps that's outside the space-time continuum. I'm not sure.
Well, if dreams are outside the space-time continuum, then surely our thoughts are as well, inside our head. And I often wonder when I'm thinking something, is this me thinking it? Or is it not me thinking it? Who am I really? But that's going a bit too deep.
Oh, wow, we're getting deep now. We're getting lost in thoughts.
We're getting lost in space. Astrobiology. Astrobiology is the study of life in the universe, including the search for extraterrestrial life. Reza, do you believe in the possibility of extraterrestrial life or aliens?
I do believe in the possibility, but I'm not saying for sure that it exists. But I do believe in the possibility. What about you?
Only at football matches in the UK, especially in the pubs after the game, I've seen some very extraterrestrial life forms at football matches after the game. But no, apart from that, I think seeing is believing. I said that last week. If I don't see it, it's very difficult for me to believe in it. And that goes for religion and life in other planets.
And if such extraterrestrial life did exist, let's just imagine it does, yeah? Do you think physically it would look similar to any creature on Earth?
Well, the chances of that are very, very small, aren't they? I mean, if you look at Darwinism and the way we've evolved from crawling out of the sea millions of years ago to me looking at you now with your headphones there, sitting in the chair in front of a microphone, you look nothing like a fish, Reza. So it's very difficult to believe that in another galaxy or on another planet, life would evolve in exactly the same way. That would be too far-fetched, too much of a coincidence. Let's take a quick break here because I know you listen to this podcast to take your English to the next level. But what about your speaking? Is your fluency improving? Are you happy with your speaking skills? My conversation course focuses on making you a more confident and more fluent English speaker. You'll join me and a small group of motivated students, and we'll meet on Zoom and have topical discussions, role plays, debates, and presentations that will expand your vocabulary and help you express yourself effectively in English. So be proactive and take the first step towards becoming a confident and fluent English speaker. Send me an email today to craig@inglespodcast.com and I'll send you details of the next online conversation course. Thanks for listening. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
Pulsar is a word which I did know before this podcast, but I must admit I had to check my understanding of it. And a definition I can give you of pulsar is a highly magnetized rotating neutron star that emits beams of radiation. I think that's why it's called a pulsar, because it pulses.
It pulses, yeah.
To pulse is to give out some type of waves or signals, or in this case, radiation. So that's what a pulsar does.
There are two types of eclipses. You can have a lunar eclipse, lunar meaning moon, which is when the Earth, our planet, blocks the sunlight from reaching the moon. And there's a solar eclipse, solar from sun, in which the moon is blocking the light from the sun, getting to us, getting to Earth.
Is there any other type of eclipse?
There's a total eclipse of the heart.
Oh,
Total eclipse of the heart.
Bonnie Tyler.
Bonnie Tyler.
Oh,
yes.
wow. Yes.
Well remembered.
Well, yeah.
Takes me back.
Total eclipse.
Slow
of the heart.
dancing in a disco.
Total eclipse of the heart.
Can you think of any other eclipses?
No, only the total eclipse of the heart.
Well, there you go. Lunar, solar, and Bonnie Tyler.
But we do sometimes use the word eclipse in a metaphorical way. For example, Hubble, the person that we mentioned before as the guy who gives us the terminology, the Hubble constant, and also the Hubble telescope, a very important scientist, but I have to say that Sir Isaac Newton eclipses him. So it wasn't that Sir Isaac Newton caused an eclipse, he didn't do that, but Sir Isaac Newton is much, 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 much more important, or considered to be more important, than poor Mr. Hubble, so he eclipses him. So if a person or an idea eclipses another person or an idea, that means it's far, far, far more important. So it leaves the other thing like in the shadow, in the eclipse. So Sir Isaac Newton eclipses Mr. Hubble in terms of scientific importance.
Razor's podcast and eclipses me.
No, quite the reverse, I would say.
Razor, I've got some fun facts for you. Are you up for doing a short quiz?
I love quizzes.
Okay, to be up for something means to be enthusiastic about it. So he's up for it. He's ready. Number one, why are there 24 hours in a day, if you think of astronomy?
I would say there don't need to be. We've just invented the fact that there should be. I don't know. What's the technical reason?
The technical reason is because that's how long Earth takes to complete one full rotation on its axes. So to go all the way around takes 1 day or 24 hours.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I knew the answer to that. I misunderstood your question. Yeah. What is 24 hours? The time it takes for the Earth to rotate once. I knew that. But the thing is, my point is, we've decided it should be 24. Could be 27 if we wanted.
That's true.
But then each hour would be shorter.
Exactly.
So I thought you were getting at why 24, but I know that a day, 24 hours, is how long it takes for the Earth to rotate once. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to keep your astronomy hat on for the next one as well. Why is a year 365 days?
That's how long it takes for the Earth to go round the sun.
Correct. Well done. How long does it take the moon to orbit the Earth?
Approximately a month.
Yes. Approximately once every 27.3 days, which is more or less a month. Is the sun a planet or a star?
A star.
Ooh, very good. Just like the ones we see in the night sky, but of course much closer to Earth. Next question. Does the Earth orbit the sun, or does the sun orbit the Earth?
The Earth orbits the sun.
Correct. That was a major discovery in history. Yeah, that was a big deal. How many planets are there in our solar system?
Ooh, I don't know. Give me a multiple choice. I've no idea.
7, 8, or 9?
9.
There used to be 9, but in 2006, Pluto was relegated or reclassified to a dwarf planet. So Pluto is not considered a planet anymore. The 8 planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
I knew Uranus would have something to do with this.
Hey, stop talking about my bum. Next question.
We've spoken about a black hole, but we haven't spoken about a bumhole.
Or an arsehole. Why do we have seasons?
The seasons are determined by hold on.
That's got you
How
thinking.
close the part of the Earth that you're talking about is to the sun.
Correct. Well done. You got there. The Earth's axis, the way it's tilted or off center, and it orbits the sun, that defines the seasons: summer, winter, spring, or autumn, or fall, if you speak American English. Why do we have tides in the sea? The tide is when the sea comes closer to the land and then goes back again, so you get more beach. Why does the sea come in and out? Tides.
It depends on the position of the moon.
Correct. The gravitational pull, the way the moon's gravity is pulling, that affects the tides in the sea. One final question. You're doing very, very well. How long does light take from the sun to reach Earth?
A light year.
No, about 8 minutes. Only 8 minutes for the light from the sun to reach Earth.
Oh, right. That's much quicker than I thought.
Yeah. Okay, we've got some idioms for you. What's the first one, Reza?
To shoot or to reach for the stars. That is to set high goals, high standards, or aim for something really ambitious, because the stars are up there very far away, aren't they? So if you reach for the stars, you're aiming very high.
Yes, there's the saying, isn't there? Aim for the stars. If you miss, you'll hit the moon.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. You can sleep under the stars if you lose your tent, for example. If you're sleeping in the open air, then you're sleeping outside at night with the stars as your blanket and the moon as your pillow. Isn't that romantic?
An expression which Craig said right at the top of the episode was that he was over the moon. That means extremely happy or excited. I felt over the moon when I passed my C1 exam.
Apart from being over the moon, another thing I am, according to my wife, is I have my head in the clouds, which means I'm unaware of the reality of things. I'm a dreamer, so I'm constantly being told that I have my head in the clouds. I don't have my feet on the ground. I'm a dreamer.
If somebody says that something is not rocket science, so it's always negative, not rocket science, that means that it is not very difficult to understand, because clearly rocket science, being able to send rockets into space, is very difficult. Not many of us know how to do it. So if something is not rocket science, you're emphasizing the fact that it really is quite simple, so you should be able to understand it. Craig, would you say that when you were younger, you were a bit starry-eyed at times?
Yes, I was naively optimistic or idealistic. If you have dreams to become an actor or a singer or a musician, you could say that you're starry-eyed, you're naive, you don't have your feet on the ground, you're not connected to reality. Were you starry-eyed as a kid?
More than now. I think it's inevitable, isn't it? Younger people tend to be a bit more starry-eyed than older people. That's inevitable.
Yeah, children are dreamers. Probably why I never grew up. Do you think we should invest more in space exploration? Because at the moment there are many problems on Earth. There's overpopulation, there's global warming, so much poverty at the moment, and climate change. Do you think we should be going beyond our atmosphere when there are so many problems on Earth?
I think we should be investing some money in space exploration, but not that much until we sort out problems on Earth. What about you?
Well, I'm on the fence. I'm not sure. On the fence is sometimes I think, yes, we should be exploring to see what's out there and learning about what's further than our planet. But then there are so many problems that need fixing here. So I'm on the fence.
And if we are going to invest some money in space exploration, is it justifiable to the use of resources that multimillionaires who virtually know nothing about space should visit it rather than have only scientists, experts explore it, which seems to be the trend these days? You mentioned Jeff Bezos' space exploration. Well, he didn't go himself, but he sent a vehicle into space, which famous women went on, not scientists. Elon Musk is at the forefront of space exploration, but he's not an expert in astronomy. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a business for him, and it's an opportunity for people who can afford it and have the money to go. I mean, wouldn't you like to see the Earth from space? Wouldn't you quite like to do it if you had the money? Would you like to go up in a rocket?
I might like to, but the question is, should we spend lots of money doing it? I mean,
but it's a private business. It's not taxpayers' money.
If only you were right. Do you have any idea how many billions of dollars the American government has subsidized SpaceX for?
I didn't know they had, because
What?
NASA pays Musk's company, SpaceX, to use his rockets. As far as I understand, it's not maybe some money goes into NASA still, but the rockets themselves, I think, are like a taxi service provided by Elon Musk, aren't they?
Yeah, but you do know that he was originally subsidized to make them in the first place. It wasn't all his own money that made them. A lot of tax dollars went into subsidies to make them. And you might say that's justifiable, but a lot of it was taxpayers' money. It wasn't all his money.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure that's justifiable. I don't mind taxpayers' money being spent if it's purely for the benefit only of taxpayers. But if he's going to be making a profit out of it, why am I subsidizing a multi-billionaire to be making even more money in the future that I won't be making? I can't get my head around that easily. That's a tricky one. Maybe it's because I've got my feet too firmly on the ground. I'm too concerned with mere mortal earthly pursuits.
Also, I think it's possibly not a good idea to have a plan B. I mean, if we continue to explore and we realize that maybe we can live on Mars and create some kind of community on Mars, then maybe we wouldn't care so much about saving this planet, because there's no plan B. We have to save it. But if there's another option out there, then maybe it's not so important to take care of this one. I don't know.
Here's a question for you. So if we really still can't get our act together to get rid of poverty through...
What does get our act together mean?
To get your act together means to finally, after a long time, achieve something. So we've had a long time to do it now. And if we can't get our act together to get rid of, eradicate poverty and terrible diseases in certain countries, but in others we can. So we have the technology to do it, but we haven't applied it to the entire world yet because we haven't shared out everything. I'm not saying we should, but the fact is we haven't. Do you really think then, when we're able to colonize space, that all the people who live in the really poor countries are going to get the same opportunities up in space that they never got on Earth? Do you really believe that?
Oh, of course. I'm sure these poor people dying of hunger in places like Africa and other developing countries, I'm sure they're going to be first on the rocket if we have to leave.
Yeah, and I'm sure
Of course not. Of course they won't.
Yeah.
No, it'd just be the rich people to go.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Won't be podcasters.
No, we won't be podcasting from space. But
Although we might be launched up to space in a pod.
Yes. Yeah, we might do.
A pod is a small vehicle which can be launched through the air, including into space. A pod, so a space pod, not to be confused with a podcast.
But what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to explore in our solar system and maybe even outside our solar system and to spend this money looking to see what's out there in space? We'd love to hear what you think about this topic. Before we go, one final question. Reza, how do you organize a party in space?
I've no idea. How do you?
You plan it.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Plan it. Plan it. We'll leave you with that terrible joke until next week. But before we go, we'll remind you how you can contact us. We would like to get your voice messages so that we can include them in a future episode. And you can send your voice message via the SpeakPipe app. Go to speakpipe.com. That's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Link to that and all of the vocabulary that we've spoken about in the show notes to this episode at inglespodcast.com/570. Reza, how can people contact us by email?
In that case, you would have to write to craig@inglespodcast.com or belfastreza@gmail.com.
If you're a Spanish speaker and you would like to improve your English with free and paid resources, why not visit the Mansion Ingles website at mansioningles.com. And for paid products, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net.
As always, we'd like to say thank you very much to our Patreon supporters. What they do is donate a little bit of money. And as a way of saying thank you for the donation, we give those donors access to the audio transcriptions of the podcast. And also a live Zoom chats with Craig for the donors who have the time to join that chat with Craig. That's all free as a way of saying thank you for your donation. If you're interested, have a look at the link in the show notes. It's patreon.com/Ingles podcast. As I said, a big thank you to all of you. We'd like to mention every single person's name, but we don't have time. So, Craig, as ever, can you name the people who have recently joined the scheme?
With pleasure. Pablo Albert, Ana Ibarra, who recently increased her support, David Almarcha Fernandez, thank you, Isabel Vasallo, and Jose de Santos, and friend of the show Denise from Greece has also recently increased her support. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast, please tell a friend so that more people can listen. Thank you to you for listening this week and having so much patience with our ignorance about astronomy. Until next time, and we don't know the topic for next week, but there will be a podcast next Sunday. Thank you for listening this week. It's goodbye from Reza.
And it's bye-bye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.